welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around.
Come on, you know you want to sing this. For those of you that are old enough to remember this song, right? Here it is. Come on, sing it with me now. Now, those of you that are old enough to remember that song, you know you love that, and you'll be singing it all day, and you're welcome. So, in years past, when we did Coffee Talk with Kima, I'd always start out by referencing or trying to grab my inner Brent Musburger by telling you that you are looking live, right? This time, I think we might try a little intro music each week. What do you think about that? Give me your feedback of intro music. And if you think of a good intro song, because those of you that know me know that I know nothing at all about pop culture. But if you can think of a good intro song and you think we ought to use that, let me know. I thought that was really appropriate for this week. So let me start by saying Happy New Year. And I want to give one shout out real quick. My shout out is to my sister, right? My sister Chrissy up in Massachusetts, where it's probably -20 today. But today's her birthday. And so if you'll help me wish Chrissy a happy birthday. For those of you that know Chrissy, reach out to her and let her know. But happy birthday to you, Chris. But again, Happy New Year. I'm excited. This is fun. So for those of you that don't know, we used to do Coffee Talk with Kima. Oh my gosh. I think we started in 2016 or 2017. For many of you will know Miranda Dalziel. Miranda and I used to work together. And when we did, we sat around and she and I both have this ridiculous love of coffee, right? And we tease each other about it all the time. Back then, I had this idea of like doing a coffee chat or a fireside chat or interviews, that kind of thing. I didn't know exactly how that looked. And so together, she and I came up with Coffee Talk with Kima. And for about 3.5, 4 years, every Friday at 8:30, we would go live, and we would share this with our database and what have you. And you know, the views were good. There were a good number of views. It wasn't overwhelming by any stretch. The word viral was never used. Let me be crystal clear about that. But it was a lot of fun, and for years it was a ton of fun. Then we got into COVID, and I started doing those same things like I am today. Like today, you can see I'm working from my home office, right? Speaking of my home office, I will share with you as I'm looking over my shoulder. Those of you that have been watching for years will remember this item here. It's my grandfather's glove from the early 1920s, his baseball glove. And those of you that know my relationship with my grandpa and how much he means to me, this is still my thinking, right? I either grab a baseball bat or this glove when I'm deep in thought. And so for those of you that were looking over my shoulder and remember this, it's still here and it's still being used regularly. But so we used to do these coffee talks, and I mean I can remember like coaching baseball tournaments on a Friday morning at 8:30. I'd come to you live from ball fields. I'd come to you live downtown Wake Forest at 2 degrees outside in shorts. By the way, Will Mondon, you know I was in shorts, and they were a lot of fun. By the time we got into COVID, I won't lie, I was a little burned out. Things were changing. I was changing. Many of you know the story and the transitions and things that we've been going through. No different than you, right? No different than you. And but things were changing along the way, and I started feeling it was more work than it was fun. What I didn't know, and what I'm so grateful for, are the number of people since we stopped doing Coffee Talk that have approached me, telling me thank you for Coffee Talk, or that they miss Coffee Talk, or whatever, or they make fun of me, which is, those are my favorites. I had no idea what kind of impact we had. There were people that never commented, never sent me anything. I never knew that they were watching Coffee Talk until I no longer did Coffee Talk. So to those people, I say thank you. I really appreciate your support. One young guy used to play for me, a leadoff hitter, terrible practice player, but the best player on game day you've ever coached, Ryan Husking. My coffee shout out to you this morning for your support as well, bud. I know you're hitting the ski slopes today. Hopefully you're awake and at it already, but I miss you, my friend. So I'm so grateful for so many of you for all the support, and that's why we're back. That, and quite frankly, I feel like the world is kind of back, right? Yes, we started dealing with COVID. If you'd have told me a couple of years ago that we were going to be wearing masks 2 years later, I'd have told you were crazy, but sure enough, here we are, right? But it's a new world, and it's one that we've got to live in, and it's one that we're going to adjust and adapt, and so I want to be a part of that with you on Friday mornings. So 2021, 2022, those were years of change for so many, right? 2020 was a year of getting punched in the mouth, right? Nobody really knew what COVID really would do to us. But by the time we got to 2021, let's be honest, we were living a new normal, right? Things were changing on a regular basis, and we've changed, we've adapted, we've gone through so much. Those of you that know my story, right? We're dealing with some things within our own family. Let's just say that COVID's had a real impact on our family. Not just one person in our family, but all of us to different levels and different degrees, whether that be anxiety or whether that be feeling, shut down, or whether that be work, whatever those things are. But so much has changed. Jennifer no longer works at the company she used to work for. I no longer work at the company I used to work for. Cole has graduated high school. Camden's a freshman, but we've had to persevere so much together. You, me, our families, we've had to persevere so many things, right? So as an example, we've had to persevere things like COVID and our health, right? We've had to persevere change in life, the elections, right? I don't know that we survive the elections as much as we just persevere through them. At some point, I would love to see us become a little more, bipartisan versus partisan. And those of you know, I love politics, right? But I also believe that we can get a lot further together than we can by ourselves. Enough about that. We've had to persevere different weather, right? Those of you up in Buffalo, God bless you and good luck to you. I mean, seeing what's happening there on television is crazy. We had to persevere a crazy 2021 real estate market that filtered into this year. And we've had to persevere the results of that, right? So many people out there still don't understand where we are. And quite frankly, many of us as real estate brokers don't always quite understand where the market is because it's changing so quickly. And then finally, yes, up here above me, we've had to persevere another losing season for my Raiders. And for those of you that enjoy that, congratulations. My heart breaks for my buddy Derek Carr. I think the world of Derek. Side story to Derek Carr real quick. When Camden was really little, he wrote him a letter with all sorts of misspelled words and sent some photos of himself and a Derek Carr rookie card. Within 2 weeks, Derek Carr was a rookie at this time. It was his second year, rather. Derek Carr had signed the card, wrote him a little letter back, and signed all of his photos and sent them back as well. So to Derek Carr and guys like that, you make a difference in kids' lives, and we're grateful for you. So I raise my Kima cup to you this morning, DC, and I wish you the best of luck. But yes, the Raiders, we've had to persevere another losing season. Beyond that, my fantasy football team may have been the worst fantasy football team on earth this year. Now, I'm going to blame my son Camden for this because he's helped me at the draft the last couple of years, and I've struggled the last couple of years. The kid knows everything about fantasy football, knows everything. I thought I was knowledgeable. The kid trumps my knowledge about athletics. However, the results are the results, right? You can either win or learn something. In this case, I've learned something. Cam's not helping me at the draft next year. Anyhow, so a lot of different things have happened. But I'm glad to be here with you, and I hope for you and your families that if you have persevered, congratulations. If you're persevering today, I'm right there with you, and I love you, and you matter to me. So it is a special time of year, right? It's the end of a year, but it's also the beginning of a new year. Now I hear a lot of bah humbug about, why do we wait till the first to start new things and celebrate? Who cares, right? If it's a time for you to hit a reset button, good for you. Good for you. And if that reset button sticks, even better for you, right? So to all of you that are working on improving yourselves or improving your situation, you have my support, right? And so all of us are on our own journey, and I'm not here to judge you on that journey. I'm here to support you on that journey. But with New Year's Eve being here, I'm curious to know what you're going to do. For the first time in over 10 years, Jennifer and I are actually going to go out after dark on New Year's Eve. Usually before the sun sets, we've already picked up what we're going to eat from Wegmans or Harris Teeter or wherever. We're back here doing fondue with the kids. Jen will go to bed about 9:30 or 10, set her alarm, get up at 11:30 so we can watch the countdown together, and then right back to bed, right? And so that's been our New Year's tradition, right? It's safer to be at home for lots of reasons. It's safer to be at home because of knuckleheads like me in my 20s that were out on the road being morons, right? So if you're going to be out and about, be safe. But we're going to be out and about this year. We're going to a friend's house for New Year's. We're still debating whether we'll make it to 10 o'clock or not. And, maybe they'll do an early ball drop for the kids and for Jen and I. We'll see. But what do you do for New Year's? Share with me. Tell me what it is that you do for New Year's Eve. And tell me what it is that you eat for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And I'm going to share with you why I ask. So one of my favorite traditions, my dad and I are very close. growing up, even all those years of partying through my 20s, I will tell you that New Year's Eve was he and I getting a couple of 2-pound lobsters each, some mussels, and we would sit down and we would plow through some lobsters and mussels. And that was our New Year's Eve tradition, he and I. And then I would go out with my buddies for the night and, wake up on January 3rd. But seriously, that was so much fun for me, and I still remember it to this day. But traditions change, times change, right? My kids and I and my wife, we all have some new traditions that I didn't grow up with. But what is it that you do on New Year's Eve? What is it you do on New Year's Day? Quite frankly, there's all sorts of like food traditions, right? In the South, black-eyed peas, ham, pork. Some people do cabbage. Some people do greens. But I wrote down a couple of others I thought were interesting. So did you know that at midnight in Spain, if you stay home and you're not out drinking and kissing on significant others, that at midnight, for every gong of the clock, right, for those 12 gongs for 12 midnight, in Spain, they eat one grape for every gong. That's how they welcome in the new year. In Mexico, tamales. And who doesn't love a good tamale? In the Netherlands, this might be my favorite. In the Netherlands, they eat something called oliebollen. No idea what it is, but they're little looking like donut holes. And they look a lot better than the ones at my favorite Dunkin' Donuts, right? They look fantastic. Oliebollen. I could be on board to become somebody from the Netherlands if that was my tradition. In Germany, I was born in Germany. My mom, also born in Germany. She makes clue wine every year for New Year's Eve. Very famous tradition in Germany. It makes the house smell so good. Well, I don't necessarily love the flavor. The smell of the cloves and what have you, the cinnamon, it just makes it smell so good in the house. Makes it smell like this time of the year, at least to me. And marzipan. For those of you that don't know what marzipan is, I don't really know either. It's some like chocolate sweet dessert thing. I'm not sure. In Poland, pickled herring. If you're serving fish, I'm in, by the way. So pickled herring. And then at my friend Baby Huey's house down in Orlando, Florida, he does the other traditional German thing, and that is to do some sort of pork chop with sauerkraut. That's the direction I like to go. Personally, I love that. The rest of my family, not so much, but I love pork chops and sauerkraut on New Year's Day. I would do that every year. However, I'll be honest with you, when nobody else eats it with you, you just kind of go with the flow, right? And oftentimes there's good ball games on, and so it'll be bar food, that kind of thing. Anyhow. Dana, good morning to you. Yes, yeah, there it is. That's exactly it. That's Chris Moore, Baby Huey's meal down in Orlando. Pork, sauerkraut, mashed potatoes, Lumpy, this is for you, my friend. Right up at you. Leah, good to see you. You know about tamales down there in Mexico. I'm glad you guys are here. I mean, it means a lot to me because I wasn't sure if anybody really meant what they said about watching. Anyhow, I thought those were interesting traditions. So what is it that you do? What is it that you do for New Year's Eve? Do you do something special? Do you do any kind of meal? Do you have any kind of traditions? Do you do deep water plunge on New Year's morning? Any of those kinds of things? Anyhow, so I'm proud to tell you, earlier I gave a shout out to one of my former players who I love so much, Ryan Husking. For those of you that don't know, over here on the screen, Dana Zarulnik's on here, and Dana was one of the moms of one of my other favorite players, Jackson Zarulnik, and one of the greatest rewards for me, and one of the pieces of transformation of my own life about being more present with people is really looking back and really like enjoying the people and the moments that I had, right? And so when I get to see these kids and I see them at ball games and ballparks all over the city still, and when they come up to me and say hello or thank you or we're still doing this drill or I've taught some of my friends, all those kind of things, that it means so much to me. And for all of you that have ever coached or taught in a classroom or had any kind of an impact on a kid, nothing, and I mean nothing in my world feels better than when one of those kids finds you and says something like that. So I love that we still have these relationships and it's good to see you. Anyhow, so, in the past we've talked about numbers, right? Real estate numbers. And I'm certainly going to share real estate numbers with you again today, but I'm only going to give you a brief look into the real estate numbers because the last thing I'm going to share with you about real estate here in a minute, I'm going to come back to some numbers. So let me just give you your basic numbers again that I used to give you all the time. And we still look at these weekly, even after all these years, right? So there's about 6,200 homes on the market active today in the 19 counties that we cover here, right? About 6,200 homes. There's 4,500 approximately under contract, which is a total of about 10,600 homes, somewhere in that range total right now that are either active or under contract. And we're at about 1.7 months worth of inventory. So that's where we are right now if you want to know. But without context, I know that doesn't mean a lot. So we'll come back to that here in just a second. But I did want to share those numbers with you as we transition to a little bit of real estate here for you. So in the past, usually I would wrap up with some sort of a tip. You know, how to get your house ready for the market. What to bring with you when you go out searching for homes. You know, when's the best time to sell? All those kind of things are the things we would talk about previously. And I will tell you, I've had a client who I love, Lisa, and she'll be on here at some point, I know, because she's just so supportive. But Lisa told me that when it came time to sell her home last year, all those tips that she'd been accumulating from us over time made the difference. She was prepared before we even got there because she just followed what we talked about. And that meant an awful lot to us, right? That we had that kind of impact. So we'll still do some of those things. But today I want to talk about the market specifically. And I really want to talk about buyers. So there's a lot of thoughts going in the market today, right? Rates are up, right? Interest rates are up. They've ticked back up a little bit here just recently. There's good indication because it follows inflation. As inflation continues to drop, and it will, interest rates will follow. At that point in time, guess what happens? Buyers flood the market and sellers take control of the market again. But what market are we really in right now? Let's take a look at this. So I shared with you that we have 6,200 homes on the market right now, just under 6,200 homes on the market. Let's think about this for a second. 3 short years ago, just prior to COVID kicking off, on this day, we had 7,142 homes on the market. 7,100 today, 6,200. So we have less homes on the market today. Supply and demand tells you that favors the seller, right? When you look at the supply and demand numbers of 6,200 today versus 7,100 3 years ago, and you look at what's pending, right? So right now we've got 4,500 pending. Back then we had 5,200 pending. We had more homes to choose from in what we would consider a white-hot real estate market in 2019 than we do today. The big difference is the interest rate. If you're looking to buy, or you know somebody that's looking to buy a home, here's the advice that we're giving as a real estate company right now, and that is go find the home you want now, because right now you've got an opportunity to negotiate with sellers. Because sellers also see the interest rates, and they know that they probably have to come off their price a little. If you're looking to buy, go ahead and lock in. Now, nobody wants to lock in at a 7.2 interest rate or a 6.6 interest rate. Now, although historically those aren't bad, they're bad compared to the recent history, right? Everybody wants to talk about, 1982. Who cares about 1982? That's not even my generation. That's my parents' generation. And so for those people that are in their 20s and 30s buying right now, I mean, that's their grandparents, right? So nobody cares about 1982 numbers anymore. Recent history tells us that we can get rates down 3, 4, 5 range, and that's very successful, right? So right now, go ahead and buy that house and then plan to refinance that house when the inflation comes back down. But this way you get into the house at today's prices, because today's prices, listen, even though interest rates are up, prices continue to rise. What you're seeing if you're only watching the market is prices coming down on the asking price. But our closing prices continue to rise, and they're going to continue to do that. So I encourage you that if you're thinking about buying a house and you want to talk through this, talk to your favorite real estate broker. Hopefully that's somebody on our team. But if it's not, talk to your favorite real estate broker and ask him that question. Is now the right time? Can I refinance my house in a year or 18 months, right? So that's your tip for today. I think it's really important to understand where we are and where we were, and knowing that interest rates will come back down. And when they do, buyers will have missed their opportunity. I keep hearing from buyers repeatedly, many buyers, not everybody, but many buyers tell me, hey, listen, we're going to wait till the market crashes. Not here, not in Raleigh. I can't speak to those of you in Massachusetts or California or even Fargo, North Dakota. I can't speak to what's going on in your market. But here, I can tell you that is not where we're headed, short of a catastrophe internationally, right? Anyhow, so that's what I've got for you this week. I do want to say a couple of quick things. For those of you that remember, we still use our Kima cups every day. And they come with these great little orange lids, right? So if you're interested in a Kima cup, we want these out in public. Let me know. We'll send you one. We ask that you hashtag Kima Cup and put it out there. And they've been all over the place. They've been to Banff. They've been to China. They've been all throughout Europe. They were in a bassinet, the Cusamanos, when they had their second child. It was in the bassinet at the actual nursery at the hospital. So, but if you're interested in the Kima Cup, let us know. Follow us online at Insta. We're at Coach_Kima. And then right here, these right here will go to YouTube, and then we'll go ahead and share them. But listen, if there's anything we can do for you, if you have any real estate questions, let us know. If you want to just get together and have a cup of coffee, let me know. For those of you in New England, I got to find a time to get back home again, and I miss you. But again, thank you all for having us, and yeah, have a good day.